Well, the outstanding educators and staff of Toowoomba Catholic Schools were honoured recently at the annual Excellence Awards. This is an event to recognise and celebrate those who exemplify excellence in their roles in the Toowoomba Diocese of Catholic Education every day. And tell you what, the competition was fierce. There were nearly 100 nominations received from across the Toowoomba Diocese. But one of the award recipients on the evening was Sarah Yates, who walked away with the School Leadership Award in the Excellence in Leadership category. Sarah Yates is Assistant Principal at St Joseph's School in Stanthorpe, and she's been instrumental in recent years in shaping the teaching and the learning style of that school by helping to implement what they call a visible learning program. I'm intrigued to find out a little bit more about what that is all about. Sarah Yates joins me now. Sarah Yates, good morning, welcome, and congratulations on this award, the School Leadership Award in the Excellence in Leadership category.
Good morning, David, and thank you. Thank you for your kind words. Yes, it was such an honour to be nominated in the first place, but also then to actually be the recipient of the award. It was a very tough competition. There were some very able people there against me in that category, but I'm delighted to be able to receive that award.
Because it caps off a career in education that I'm assuming that took you from the classroom. I'm assuming you started off just as a teacher, and I shouldn't say just as a teacher because the role deserves everyone's utmost respect. But
absolutely,
started off in teaching, and now to the assistant principal's office. Are you still teaching though as part of that role?
Yes, I am, and that's one of the things that throughout my career I've made sure that I'm still part of the teaching staff wherever I've been, because I think that's really important as a leader to be doing the things that you're asking other teachers to do. I want to be there and seeing what it's like for them. And I came into teaching when I first started teaching back in 1993, and I did that because I wanted to be working with the students, working with the children at various age groups. So that's always been a passion of mine and something I wanted to maintain, whatever role I took on within a school community. So, yeah, look, I decided I wanted to be a teacher when I was 8 years of age.
Really? Wow.
Yes. And nothing has swayed me from that decision all the way through, and I'm now very much older than that. It's been a great career, and one I hope has still got a few years left in it as well.
Can you remember back when you were 8, what was the impetus? What was the moment that made you think, I want to do that?
I think it was the teachers I had at primary school. I had some wonderful teachers. I can still picture them now. I can picture being in their classrooms and just, the care and the way they taught us, the way they looked after us. Obviously, back in the 70s as it was very different to life now. And that was obviously back in the UK as well, where I grew up.
Yes.
So it's, it was very different, but it was still that sense that the teachers were there for you and they cared about you and they wanted the best for you.
Now, a lot of the award, I guess it can be safely said, comes from your work in terms of being an assistant principal, focusing on the visible learning program. And I think this is one of those areas I'm fascinated about it because my kids have long since left school, and I think anyone who's in the same boat would probably be surprised at how much is changing in terms of teaching techniques and looking into the best ways to teach, and that's happening all the time. And this would be an example of that, wouldn't it? What exactly is the visible learning program?
So visible learning is something that we, as a school, embarked on back in 2018, in fact. So it's been quite a long journey that's brought us to where we are today. Essentially, in a nutshell, because there's many facets to it, and I could actually talk for days about visible learning because I'm very passionate about it. But essentially, it's around teachers using the latest research to understand and to implement what works best in the classrooms for the students in front of them. time, so that they're always evaluating their impact as teachers and looking at what they could do better. I think one of the visible learning research particularly is grounded in many years of work by Professor John Hattie, and his work is renowned throughout the world. So we're just tapping into that, and then to other people as well who's they're continually updating their research, and currently, we're talking to students themselves about, what does it mean to be a better learner? We talk about being an exemplary teacher and an exemplary learner at St. Joseph's, and we want the best for our teachers and best for our students. So, so teachers are sort of constantly learning. We're part of a learning community ourselves, so we are learning all the time, and the students obviously are being taught how to be better learners, so that they can use those skills not just in a school context, but also outside as well, because whilst the curriculum is important, the ability to be able to learn in whatever context is also important.
Absolutely. Give me... there would be new research coming out in both of those areas, how students learn and how the best way for teachers to teach all the time. But give me the best example, or perhaps even the most profound example of how that has translated into the way teaching happens and the way learning happens at your school.
Well, just at the beginning of term 2, we, as a whole staff, so that's all our staff from prep through to year 12, embarked on looking at explicit teaching and looking at how explicit teaching and practices around working memory and extending and helping students to develop their memory can actually impact their learning long term. So that's part of what we call an impact cycle. So the teachers have all been involved in learning about this as a community, and then implementing some of the things into their classrooms, and then reflecting back and evaluating what the impact has been. Part of that has been talking to the students about how learning happens, what happens to our brain when we learn, and how that can be maximised, so what we can do as learners to maximise that. So, we're encouraging the students not to be passive recipients of the learning. We're actually wanting them to be active in that process, so that they can maximise learning for themselves. So, it's wonderful to see the students here who can articulate what it means to be a learner, not just regurgitate facts from the curriculum. That's we want them to go to that deeper level. We want them to be thinkers. Part of our exemplary teaching and learning framework talks about the 6 dispositions of a learner. Those things like being confident, being a communicator, being a collaborator, being a thinker. Those are the skills we're trying to develop through all of this work and all this research that we're applying to our practice in the school.
That sounds incredibly exciting. Do the kids see it that way? Is it exciting to them as well?
We probably have to ask them that, but I think, yes, that there is a definite buzz around the school, in terms of learning. We talk about this school is a place where we come to learn. We're all learners in this community, teachers included. And so, there is a great buzz and a great vibe around the classrooms, which people who visit us on a regular basis, and we do have teachers from other schools in our Toowoomba diocese and other schools as well, when they visit us, there is a noticeable something they can't put into words necessarily, but they notice that there's a culture here of learning that's really special.
Yeah. If you've just come in, by the way, my name's David Iliffe. I'm having a chat to Sarah Yates this morning. Sarah is the assistant principal and a teacher at St. Joseph's School in Stanthorpe, and she's just taken out a school leadership award at the local Catholic Ed Awards in excellence in leadership in that category. Sarah, it begs the question, though, to accommodate to weave some of this latest research into the teaching and into the learning, which is the principle of visible learning, the program. How does that sit alongside the curriculum that you're obliged to teach? Does it sort of mesh in with that, or does it sit on top of that, and therefore does it take up more time? How does that work?
Yeah, good question. So everything we do in terms of teaching and learning at St Joseph's comes under the umbrella of visible learning. So any curriculum can fit into that framework. Visible learning is not necessarily about, or it isn't about any particular subject. It's not about any particular age group. The practices and the principles on which it's built are relevant to every subject, every student in the class, whether they're in prep or whether they're actually in year 12. So it's a great way of developing a common language around learning in a context such as ours. It's a great way to develop common practices as well for teachers and students. So, yeah, it works in whatever context you're actually in, but is so powerful when applied correctly, obviously. And there's a lot of training that goes involved in actually helping the teachers to apply this. We say with fidelity, because if you want the maximum output from this, if you want to have the impact of it, then you have to make sure that you're applying it with that fidelity.
This the teaching industry is one that we're constantly being told, and this is not just a myth. It's happening that a lot of teachers across the board are leaving with burnout and just finding that the load is too much. I'm assuming though that this would make a difference to the level of engagement and excitement that teachers feel about their role as well.
Huge. The conversations we have as a staff, we meet on a regular basis throughout the term, and the conversations we have are just phenomenal in terms of the excitement that this brings to the classroom, brings to the staff room as well, with teachers talking about individual students making progress. That's what we're looking for, is our children making the progress that they should be making. Are we doing what we should be doing to encourage and to facilitate that progress? So it's amazing. And yes, it does, there is training involved, and there is continual work to be done, but when you see the results in the classroom, you can see that it really is successful, and it really is worth investigating, certainly.